Hey guys, today we're going to be checking out the Playmates Toys Voltron Legendary Defender Metal Defender Red Lion. Again, I'd like to thank the folks over at Playmates Toys for making this review happen. The Red Lion, we'll just move his sword to the side. Let's get some sizing for this guy. He's basically, if you've seen the review of the Green Lion, would you actually believe that the Red Lion is exactly the same? It is. Let's go ahead and take some measurements here. The Red Lion is from tail to head about 5 inches in length and roughly about 2.5 inches tall. And like we did with the other video, we'll move the Red Lion over. We'll move his sword over. And let's bring in the Red Lion from the larger Voltron build, which again would just be a red repaint to the Green Lion, or vice versa. The considerable size difference is probably notable right off the bat. The Red Lion is about 2/3 the length of the larger Red Lion. And we'll just tip the two lions up so you can see the comparisons in paint. Paint is not really all that much different from one to the other. The larger line you could chalk up has some additional paint work there, especially the blacks, which aren't as noticeable here on the smaller version of the Red Lion. Again, I really like these lines. I still... of the things that I kind of have out and about in my office here, the lions actually are one of the things that still stay out on display. Periodically, I'll just kind of play around with them, but the honest truth is I kind of always wanted them to be a smaller scale. So really, like, this particular line is right up my alley, and I mentioned that before in the other video as well. The smaller scale, there were smaller lions in the first... I guess the first releases of the Voltron toys, but they had like a gimmick, a firing missile or something like that. These ones are strictly transforming lions, which is exactly what I wanted. Like the Green Lion, the Red Lion's die cast basically resides right here, right in this top torso area here. The hind area, as well as the hind legs, the legs on the front, and the head are all plastic. Still has the spring on the front here, that you can take his sword and you can have him holding it in the handle. And he actually does a pretty good job of actually holding the sword. And just for some fun comparisons, put the Red Lion right there for a second. We'll reach off camera. And there is the sword that would have come with the larger combining Voltron lions. So you can kind of see, a good size difference. This one has basically swapped out the translucent plastic in favor of a painted blue blade, which I think resonates. It shows up a lot more than using the clear plastic, but that's just my own preference. This one actually has a lot more in the blacks and the reds. This one here just painted in these kind of silver gray. Now, I overall really like this one. I think the paint's really clean. I do find like the feet are a little on the loose side, that I have to kind of put it up on its hind legs for him not to tip forward. If I have him kind of flat-footed, he tends to, of course now he's not doing it now, but he tends to kind of get a little loose and flop forward. Articulation on this guy, it's basically about the same as the larger ones. The head rotates all the way around. You've got the hinge on the mouth. Again, the legs move back and forth. You've got a hinge basically at like the elbow or hind elbow of the actual legs. And the feet also hinge. Now these hinges on the Red Lion here are a little on the stiffer side, surprisingly enough, even though the fact that the actual leg here is a little looser. The back legs hinge back and forth. You've got the ratcheted joint there as well on the mid bend of the leg. And because he is going to be, or this line is going to be the arm, you got a swivel here as well as a hinge back and forth. To get this one transformed to arm mode, you have to kind of get your finger in there. And this one opens up a lot easier than the green one. I didn't actually need a screwdriver. The legs it's easier actually to bring the legs around first, like hinge those inward, I should say, and then bring these together. Now, again, I'm going to have maybe a little bit of an issue because I've got these legs here don't hinge. They're very, very stiff. So I'm going to have to kind of put a little extra oomph into them. There we go. There we go. And again, these will just bring forward. Would have been a little easier. You know what? Let me do that again. I'm going to bring these out. I want to make sure I got a full bend going in them first, like that. Then bring the legs in, and everything will tuck in nice and easy. Best to probably do all your bending and stuff first, and then bring the legs in, so you're not actually struggling on the inside. Snap that closed, and then for the back legs, you're just gonna bring these inward. Bring these inward, and bring the legs around, and bring the legs around. And essentially, in a nutshell, there is your lion's arm. You can also bring these around as well. Depending on whatever, you can do whatever really you want. And then there's that little tab. You can bring that out. It seems to really get stuck. But get that out going like that. And that's basically your line. You can tuck in the tail as well. And take your connector point. Bring in Voltron to where we've left them off so far. Right now, a torso, a green arm, still missing the legs, and once again, there's that specific shape. It's kind of the shape of a file folder where it tells you exactly the way it has to tab in. And again, you're just going to pop that in, apply a little bit of pressure. You'll hear that little click, and now you got your arms in place. And those arms really aren't going to go anywhere. By the way, also, I was playing around with this a lot afterwards, and I noticed the arms are super easy to detach, which at the time that I initially did these reviews, I said that, you know, I wish there was a little button mechanism. Let's try the red one here. Take the arm, and again, like it should, bring it up, detach it. Let's try it with the red one here. Yeah, see the red one, you almost have to get like one straight, bring it up, and detach it in one full smooth movement. And again, it doesn't seem like it wants to detach. Bring it up. And I see this one leg perfectly fine. I'm not doing anything different from one to the other. Okay, so you got your two legs. You're going to do the green one first. Detach that forward. Works fine. This one here, I must say, does not detach as easy. And I'm not doing anything different from this one to this one here. Here I was thinking that it was actually going to be a fairly successful venture at detaching these, and it so happens, looks like I am hitting the resistance that I was initially worried about hitting. Yeah, that doesn't look like it wants to detach all that easily. This, again, the green one comes off perfectly fine. I may have to go back and revisit my original opinion of this. Maybe what they should have done was incorporate that button release, because if the button release was there, you could probably just easily pop these off. Okay, I'm going to try one more. I'm going to give it the college try. Here we go. It just does not want to come off. So I might have to finagle that a little bit more, I think, to get the red one to actually come right off. So overall opinion, I love the fact that he's smaller. That to me is the big draw. The die-cast metals certainly go a long way as well for me as well, because you get the extra weight of the lines. I kind of wish that the die-cast made up the majority, if not all, the line. So at least like the back end of it was also die-cast. I wouldn't necessarily need to have die-cast head, but at least die-cast on the front, die-cast on the back would have gone a long way. I suppose the only nitpick I could also make in Voltron mode, as you can see in my attempts here, the arms seem to still be an issue. I kind of got a little comfortable feeling like it was going to be no problem whatsoever taking the arms off. But it seems that taking at least one of the arms off, the red line specifically, it just does not want to detach. So about that's the only thing I could say is a nitpick. I wish that Playmates actually could have incorporated, and I'm going to go back to what I said initially. I wish they could have incorporated a little button release somewhere maybe on the back or something that would have detached this all together. The last thing I want to do is have a repeat of what happened with my green line where I had my little tab break off. I will continue to kind of play around and see if I can get the arm to come off at an easier rate, kind of like what the green one is going to be. Again, that's the only real nitpick I could make about the toy. This really need to be a lot easier to come off. I still like the design of Voltron, and take nothing really away from the toys themselves. The lines themselves are really good. Just need to fix the means to getting the arms off. I'm not doing anything differently on the red than I was on the green, but the red just does not seem to want to come off at all. Today, though, we were having a look at the new released Playmates Toys Metal Defender Red Lion. Bit of a shame that I can't get that off properly. If you guys like this video and certainly want to check out more, and you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet to this channel, hit that little subscribe button down below, and you won't miss future videos coming onto this channel. And then also, as a side note, eventually I want to get myself the blue and the yellow line. I feel like Voltron's not much of a defender if he ain't got no legs. So if I do eventually get those other two lines, of course we'll revisit this particular Voltron, and maybe by the time that happens, I might have actually found a way to get the red line off without accidentally breaking anything on the tab. As always, guys, thanks for watching, as you always do. Always like reading the comments down below when you guys leave them, and certainly always new subscribers are always welcome on this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. One quick update that I wanted to add to the end of this video, because I really didn't want to leave you guys thinking that another problem, we're going to have issues with getting the lines off. I wanted to actually add this end of this video because there is a way, at least on the smaller scale Voltron, to take the arms off. The green line we've already looked at comes off very, very easily. Having you just watched the video, you obviously remember the red line was not as successful. I just couldn't get it off. Then I thought to myself, what if I just pulled the arm? Now, let me just don't do this right away until what you need to do. I thought to myself, well, he's small enough and maybe he's more condensed that maybe I could actually just grab, like, for example, the shoulder here and yank the arm off. So what I did was I held basically this section right here. I held it and I just grabbed the arm and the arm popped right off. Chalk it up possibly to the fact that the Voltron is a little bit smaller, that the peg is a little bit smaller. It was a lot easier than doing it with this way, and I haven't actually done it with the green line. I'm just going to grab this side, yeah, and it pops right off. So I did want to tack on this video. I did want to add this because I wanted to give this a fair shake. I felt bad kind of leaving the video as it was. So I was just kind of playing around Voltron. And you know what, I thought to myself, I have to add this at the end of the video because I don't want you guys being left thinking, how are we going to get the lines off? Well, it so happens, in the instance at least of the smaller one, you don't actually have to do that little swing trick. Simply just hold on to the kind of the shoulder area and just get a good strong grabbing of the arm, and it pops very, very easily out of place. Again, just want to add this so that you guys can see you won't have any problems when you pick up these lines for yourself. Taking the arms off are absolutely no problem whatsoever. See you guys next time.